morning.
Hi. We're
Oh,
back.
wow. Yes, we're back. I'm Betty,
I'm Mark.
and we are the pastors
Pastors
too.
2.
Oh, goodness. Well, it's been a while.
It has been a long time.
Yeah, like 6 months.
We've been going through a lot.
Yeah, we have. Both of us.
Yeah.
So we thought we would maybe share a little bit with you tonight about what we've been going through. And especially me. But Mark's had his share too. So we just thought we would share a little bit with you. And so anyway, if you're here, why don't you drop a note in the chat. Let us know you're here and where you're watching from. And anyway.
Is there a like button that they can...
Is there? Yeah. You need to
click
click the like button, click the share button, share it with somebody, and what else? Oh, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. So, so let us know that you're out there. I got a text a while ago, and I'm kind of looking to see if anybody else is on because she said she was going to be on, and. Do you have it still up? I want to make sure that that they're really hearing us. Did you close it out?
Okay.
Are we a little bit behind? Are we? Oh no! Don't tell me we're having problems. Oh, are we having problems?
I don't know.
I'm checking here. I'm checking with somebody else.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. You hear us, but you can't see us. We just now, yeah.
I can see
I
you
mean,
on...
I'm.
You're on here. We got a picture here.
Well, we just now came on live, so anyway. All right. I don't know what to tell you on that because it's showing up on Mark's phone. So.
Well, you can hear us. That's okay.
All right. Well, go ahead and put something in the chat so I can see if that's working. Oh, okay. Well, all right. Well, I'm not sure what's going on, but anyhow, she says she can hear us at least, and so I'm assuming, and Mark's phone shows us being live, and it's delayed, but that's not anything new.
If you can see us and hear us,
yeah,
put something in the chat.
Yes, please.
So that we'll know that everything's working fine.
If you're on, yeah, put something in the chat. Let us know that you can see us, that you can hear us. You know, you can post in the chat. I don't know if it says sign into chat. Let me see. I don't know why it does that. I don't know why it's got that. Y'all, it's been a while, so I'm not sure what I'm doing. Enter a valid email or phone number. Okay, I don't know what that's got.
Okay, I just put something in there. We'll see if it comes through.
Well, now I've got to get it back where...
Okay.
Control panel is... It shows that we're live. Wait a minute, YouTube. It shows viewers. I don't know where to get the... All right, y'all, bear with us, okay? We're working on this. I'm not sure.
On my phone, it shows up I got a response from Inspired Shepherd.
Okay. It wasn't necessarily a response. I just typed in.
Oh,
So.
yeah, right.
Well, you may have to keep it up there in order for us to see if somebody says something.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know how to get rid of this. Wait a minute. Oh, yeah. There we go. Let me see if it goes back. There we go.
Oh.
There we go. I got it. I got
it.
Hey. I don't know why it says sign into chat. I have no idea. But because I'm signed in. And YouTube is not something. I'm not going to worry about that. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi again. So if you didn't hear us earlier, be sure you like and subscribe and put something in the chat. Let us know you're here. And I need a drink.
Water.
It's just water, yes. Well, no, it's not just water.
Well, okay.
It's water with electrolytes in it. So anyway, it's supposed to be good for me. I don't know. I just got it, so I'm trying it out. And where do we start?
Okay. When was our last time on here? Was it in May?
May 23rd.
23rd, okay.
And that one I have not added to the list of podcasts, but, I will. I kind of goofed up that night, big time. We were about 8 minutes in when I realized that nobody could hear us. It was all music.
That's the one with all the music. Okay.
And we debated. We were talking about it the other night, and were we going to go ahead and delete it and redo it, or were we going to leave it up, or what? And I listened to the rest of it after we figured out the issue, and we actually started talking. And
so if you want to go back to that one, start at the 8-minute mark.
Yeah, at the 8-minute mark. I'm going to fix it so that it will start there. And if you want to go back and watch us being silly before that, you're welcome to. But yeah, I'm going to get that fixed, and then I'll add it to the list of podcasts, and I'll add this one and, whatever. So anyhow, we're kind of trying something different tonight. We've got 2 cameras set up. So we've got another camera, another view. What do you think of that? Does it work? And so anyway, but I think I like this one better over here for right now, at least. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay.
We look good with any camera, but...
yeah, of course.
No, this one's good.
I asked him how I look. Do I look okay? And he's, oh yeah, you look fine. I'm like, yeah, why do I even bother asking you? Because that's all you ever say.
I even asked Chico, and he said you look good.
Oh, well, okay. Chico's the one that matters. All right, so what happened? May 23rd. We did a live. It was on a Thursday night.
Before Memorial Day.
Yeah, that weekend was Memorial Day, that following Monday. And I wasn't doing too swift. I had been having a lot of pain prior to that. Ever since, I've had pain all my life, but I was having a lot of pain in January, starting in January, mid-January. It felt like something happened. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. I went to my doctor and my orthopedic sports medicine doctor, and he was trying to figure out what was going on. He sent me for an x-ray and asked me why I hadn't come in sooner. And I said, well, you're only in the office on Fridays. And I had to figure out his schedule and work it out with his schedule and get everything situated. And so sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Anyway, ADHD strikes again. I was and his schedule was crazy. And so it was March the 8th before I ever got in to see him. And I also told him, I said, and besides, I said, I thought it would go away. It's always gone away before. And he's kind of like, well, yeah, okay. And so, March, and I asked him, well, he sent me for x-rays, and I got the x-rays done, and he thought it was coming from my low back, my lumbar area. And I questioned him. I said, all this stuff, because my hip didn't show anything. There was nothing on the x-rays. No arthritis, no nothing. My lumbar area was full of arthritis and all kinds of other stuff, and, bone spurs and what have you. But I didn't know. I mean, it didn't make sense because that stuff had all been there for a long, long time. And so I asked him, well, what's going on? And he said, well, I think it may be a pinched nerve. Like, okay, but I don't think so. And so he elected not to do any more imaging at that point. But he did send me for physical therapy. And it took me almost a month to get in to see the physical therapist and get set up on that. So it was April. And for probably 6 weeks or so, I don't know, it was a while.
That would be about right.
For a while there, I was looking at, I was doing the physical therapy a couple of times a week, and it just seemed like I was getting worse. I was in more and more pain. I had been walking some prior to the end of the year, but now I was not able to walk at all. But I wasn't at the point yet where I couldn't put weight on it. That happened the day after Memorial Day. It was getting bad. Earlier in January and all, I couldn't even move without pain. But he kind of got that eased up when I saw him in March. And then May 28th, day after Memorial Day, I went to the dentist to get my teeth cleaned. Don't go get your teeth cleaned. It's dangerous. I went in. I had been having more pain. I almost didn't go. I ended up going, went in. Mark went with me. Tried to get in the dental chair. I was on my scooter. I transferred into the chair and tried to put my foot up on the chair, and I couldn't. And I was...
you were screaming.
I was screaming. Yeah, I literally screamed. And Mark had my foot up in the air, and I said, put it down, put it down, put it down. And he puts it down on the chair, and I'm like, no, on the floor, on the floor. So he got my foot down on the floor, and I was in so much pain. It was horrible. And the poor dental hygienist, she had retired already, and she had come back because they ran into a problem with the new one they had hired, and anyway. And so she was back helping him out, and I'm like, what do I do? And she's like, well, I don't think you're going to get your teeth cleaned today. And so I had to sit there and let the pain subside before I could get back on my scooter. So we finished up. Our daughter Tamara was with us, and she was getting her teeth cleaned. And when she got done, we went back out to the van. It was about noon, and we started to get in the van. I was at the passenger side front door, and I was trying to get in. Mark tried to help me get in. He lifted my leg up, and I screamed again, and I just screamed, no! And he almost dropped my leg, and that made it even worse. And I was trying to figure out, could I maybe get in the back seat somehow? How was I going to get in the van? How was I going to get home? And I finally came to the conclusion, while he was putting my scooter in the back of the van, I came to the conclusion that there was no way I was getting in that van. And so when he came back around to try to help me again, I said, call an ambulance. And he looked at me like,
say what?
like, are you kidding me? I said, I know you think I'm not serious, but I am very serious. Call an ambulance. And so he did. And when they got there, they asked me where I wanted to go. I said, I don't care. Just get me somewhere to get out of this pain. And so they said, well, Mercy is the closest. And I said, that's fine. And so they made sure they weren't on divert, and they took me to Mercy. They had a hard time getting me on the gurney thing, the stretcher for the ambulance to put me in the ambulance. But after the initial extreme pain, one of them was able to get up under my arm to give me a little support, and I got turned around where they could get me on the gurney and get me in the ambulance. So all this pain, I got to the emergency room. It was horrible when they tried to transfer me. Every time they tried to transfer me, it was excruciating. A lot of the stuff wasn't as bad. They're apologizing for the trip over there. They're apologizing for, getting me in and out of the ambulance. They're, everything like this. But as long as I was on that bed, I was okay. It was when they tried to move me from one to the other that I was having the problem. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, I'd had an MRI done the week before on the 22nd. And we hadn't gotten the results yet. But we did have a CD with images on it. And Mark had asked before they took me off, to the ER. He asked me if he should come home and get the CD. And I said, yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. I said, by the time they get over there and get me situated and everything, you'll have plenty of time to go home and get back up there. So that's what we did. And sure enough, they'd barely gotten me into a room because we had to wait about 15 minutes for a room to be available once I got there. And so they got me into the room, and they, like I said, they got me onto the ER bed. That was the most comfortable ER bed I've ever been on in my life. But it was sure painful getting there. and so they took an x-ray. That wasn't bad. They just slid the film right underneath me and was able to get that. Pretty soon the doctor comes in, and he says, and he'd already been in once, and he came back in. And by that time, Mark was there, I think. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you were there when they did the x-ray. And he says, well, there's a lesion showing on your x-ray. And he pointed out this kind of a gray area, the spot on the x-ray that was about like that on my femur. And he said, we want to take a closer look at this. And when he had said lesion, I'm going, oh, you got to be kidding me. And so I didn't think too much more about it, but they went into high gear and started doing stuff. They ordered a CT scan. He told me they were going to keep me around for a little while so they could check it out. And poor Mark's sitting over there, and he's still clueless. He's thinking, I got to get back to work. How long is this going to take? Right?
Right.
And I'm like, buddy, you're not going back to work today. When they said they're going to keep me, they mean they're going to admit me.
I thought it was just for a couple of hours,
Yeah, within a couple of hours, I'd had the x-ray, a CT scan. I was admitted, and I was scheduled for surgery the next day. So he called his boss.
So
Go ahead.
Okay, when he came in and started talking about all these, scans that they wanted to do, and you mentioned at that point that you had an MRI done.
Yeah, that was the hospitalist, because the ER doctor at that point, because they had already started the process of admitting me, and so he turned me over to the hospitalist.
Okay.
And he was the one that came in and was asking, was talking about that, and they were going to do a CT scan, then later they were going to do a CT scan with contrast. And now, mind you, I got sick from the beginning. When I first got there, they gave me an injection up here in my shoulder. And I don't remember what it was, but a couple of different medications, pain medication and stuff. And when they wheeled me down through the hall and all the way around and everything to wherever they did the CT scan, I was not feeling too good. And so anyway, I didn't throw up or anything at that point, but I was feeling pretty icky. And that's pretty much the way I was for a long time. It just like I couldn't get over being sick and being nauseous. Anyway, so I
So you mentioned that with the hospitalist, you mentioned that you had had the MRI done the week before.
yeah, we were
So
talking about things. I don't remember exactly, but I said I had an MRI done, and but I hadn't gotten the report. But I did have a CD with images, and he said, "Where is it?" And Mark
right here.
says, he pulls it out. He goes, "Here it is." He says, "Can I take that and upload it to our system here?" And I'm like, "Sure, go ahead," because I didn't know what was going on. Well, I never did really know until later. And Mark went back because the chiropractor was the one that had ordered that, and so Mark went to see him one day, and he had finally gotten the report. It took him a while. It took him like 2 weeks, I think it was, to get the report from on that MRI.
But by
And
that
so
time,
by that time,
we
I'd
already
already
knew.
had surgery, and I already, I think by that time I had did I have a diagnosis? Maybe not.
I don't think you had the diagnosis at that point.
So anyway, well, I'm getting off, track here, and a lot of stuff, a lot of details that you probably don't even care about. But so I had surgery on Wednesday, May 29th.
29th.
And I remember the surgeon coming in to talk to me, and I remember, talking to her later and still not knowing what was going on. And so I just, and the anesthesiologist came in sometime or other before the surgery. I remember they took me down for surgery, and it was a long time, and I was sick. And a little trick, if you don't know, I don't have any handy here, but the little square alcohol prep swabs, whatever, they can really help with nausea. And so, we kept going through those because we had to keep getting more to try to keep my nausea down. And so, anyway, I was there. I was down in pre-op for probably an hour or so. But the anesthesiologist and we had talked about it because it was so painful for them to move me. I had pretty much been flat on my back since they admitted me, since they put me in the ambulance. And so he said, well, what we can do is we can leave you in your bed until we,
Till they put you out.
until we're ready. And he says, I'll put you to sleep in your bed, and then we'll move you to the operating table. And so I was like, that sounds like a good idea to me. And so that was the way we did it. They rolled me in to the operating room finally, and the surgeon is sitting off over here to my left. My bed was kind of sandwiched between, let's see here. My bed was kind of sandwiched in between the doctor over here to my left and the operating table. Okay, she's sitting at a little desk. Okay, got my x-ray up here. And I'm like, I remember that. I recognize that. And then I looked at her and I said, as I understand it, this is going to be quite a long scar. And she looked at me and she says, honey, they don't let me do the little stuff. So anyway, I had already been told that she was one of 2 orthopedic oncologists in the state, and she was the best there was. And I was in the right place, being there at Mercy. So that was...
They said if you'd got anywhere else.
If I'd gone anywhere else, they would have transferred me, most likely, back over to Mercy. Maybe if I'd gone to OU, that wouldn't have been the case because that's where the other one was and is. And my surgeon retired in September, kind of all of a sudden. And so I am now with the other one, but I haven't actually met him. I've met his PA. But anyway, going on, moving forward, she got that done. They were trying to, get me up.
Oh, what did they do?
Oh, they took she cut a third of my femur out. I mean, about 6 inches, and replaced it with a metal rod. And the all the other tissue, she kind of cleaned it up, and and put in a new femoral head, the ball part of the joint. And then that tissue she sent to pathology. Well, I was in the hospital that was on Wednesday. I was in the hospital until Saturday evening. And they'd been talking, where do you want to go for rehab? Blah, blah, blah. I didn't know. I didn't really care, except all my doctors wanted me to go over to Mercy Rehab. But they didn't want me for whatever reason. I guess they'd heard about me. They'd heard rumors. I don't know. I'm not sure what they heard. But anyway, they decided they didn't want me.
What kind of rumors?
I don't know. But, I did kind of go like this a time or two. And, and this to some of the... Especially when they went to move me over to the rehab, and the transport guys came, and I mean, it was just reflex. It just went boom, boom. They were laughing. I said, I'm so sorry. I've seen the signs. I know I'm not supposed to, not supposed to assault the personnel here. I'm sorry. So anyway, the physical therapy at the hospital couldn't get very far with me. They tried, and then this little occupational therapist came in on Saturday, and with the physical therapist, the weekend crew, and she was determined I was going to get up on my feet, and she did not understand the extent of this surgery. And I've discovered that there were a lot of the therapists of various kinds that really didn't understand the extent of it. And they didn't understand what I was going through. But it was extremely, extremely painful. And she was trying to make my leg do things, move my leg over. She wanted me to move it. I couldn't. And she was trying to move it, and I yelled at her. And I kicked her out of my room. I mean, I said, just get out of here. You're not doing this to me. And so she left the physical therapist. She just kind of looked helplessly at the physical therapist, like, I don't know what to do, And the physical therapist says that it's okay. I've got some things she can do in the bed. So we did some stuff in the bed. And then, like I said, they moved me that evening then over to Oklahoma City Rehabilitation Hospital. And once I got there, Mark was there and Tamara, and it was the first Saturday of the month. In fact, it was the first day of the month. It was June 1st. And so it was time for the Del City gospel singing, and they wanted to go. And I said, sure, go on. Go ahead. I'll be okay. I thought. But it was kind of, all of a sudden, it was like everybody left, and I was there by myself, and I'm like, where is everyone? And I go reach for my call button, and it's not there. They had forgotten to put my call button over next to me so I could get a hold of it. And I'm like, I didn't know what to do. And so anyway, but eventually they changed shifts, and the new shift came in. They were okay. And so I made it through the weekend. They did a little bit of PT with me on Sunday. As I learned, they did basically 6 days out of the week. They would do PT and OT. And I had 3 hours a day of therapy, splitting it usually evenly between physical therapy and occupational therapy. So I had to learn how to take a shower and how to walk, because I couldn't walk. um, getting up and getting to the bathroom was really interesting. They had this thing called Sarah Steady.
Yeah.
Sarah Steady. And it was this big contraption, and they would get me up. I'd put my feet on it and then kind of stand up, and then they would flip this thing around behind me, and it created a seat, and I could sit down, and they could carry me into the bathroom and then flip it up, and I could get on the toilet and do my thing, get back on the Sarah Steady. They'd take me back, put me back in bed. It was great, and I made lots of use of that thing for, at least a week, I guess, and probably more, because, let's see, it was a week after my surgery before I walked. That's what I should have done. I should have loaded up my some of my videos and stuff and pictures from that. But
Maybe
anyway,
next week.
Huh?
No.
Next week.
No, not next week.
Anyway, whatever. If you want to see it, holler at me. I'll, but a friend was there when I took my first steps, and I just took a few steps in between the parallel bars with the wheelchair right behind me. And that was a week after my surgery. So, you hear about people that are up and walking the day of their surgery after they've had a hip replacement. They did not have the extensive surgery that I had. My surgeon had to remove muscles from the old femur and then attach them to the new one. And those muscles are still complaining 6 months later, almost 6 months later. And they're not happy, but they're getting better. And so anyway, but it was the next week. Anyway, it was June 11th.
Mm-hmm.
Was his dad's birthday. And 95 years old.
Still going strong.
And he was over in Yukon. Now, the Oklahoma City Rehabilitation Hospital is on the east side of Oklahoma City.
Broadway Extension around.
And if you know where Broadway Extension is.
Britton, Hefner, in that area.
Yeah. And Yukon's on the west side of Oklahoma City. And I'm pointing like you know which direction I'm pointing. But anyway, it really is that direction. And so, he was out there in Yukon,
right.
And I'm clear over on the other side of Oklahoma City.
We were having a birthday cake.
And they were doing a party for his dad.
My two sisters and spouses and my niece, along with her husband.
And
Tammy.
Yeah.
Tamara.
And I got a phone call. I was just sitting there. He was going to come over after after the party. Now I'm sitting there with my phone, working a jigsaw puzzle, listening to a podcast, which is what I do a lot of times to pass the time. And he, I'm just waiting, just killing time. It's about 8:30 in the evening, and all of a sudden, my phone starts ringing, and a name pops up on the screen, and it's my orthopedic sports medicine doctor, the one that had ordered the x-rays to begin with, but didn't do any other imaging at that point. And so that was back, like I said, back in March. And I'm like, why is he calling me?
It's 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it's 8:30. Why is he calling me? So I answered the phone, and he started asking me some questions, and I could hear his wife, who was my PCP. I heard her in the background. And so I knew they were together. And after a while, I said, "Do you have access to my records at Mercy?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Isn't all this information in there?" "Well, yes, it is." And they'd asked me these questions before. They were trying to understand, I didn't understand, okay? And so All I knew was something that one of the doctors at the rehab hospital had told me, and it was not what they were understanding it to be. And so, and I can't remember now what it was. But after a while, I said, "Do you have the results of the pathology report?" And he said, "Yes, we do. I'm looking at it right now." And that's when he told me that the tissue that the surgeon had sent in was positive for metastatic breast cancer. So, um, there I was, all by myself and talking to my doctors. I had been on a hormone replacement cream, and they said, "Are you still using that?" I said, "Yes." She had prescribed it, my PCP, and they said, "Stop it immediately." I said, "Okay." So a few minutes later, when my nurse came into the room, I told her, I said, "You need to take that off of my meds, and I'm not to take it anymore per my PCP." And so she did that. It was hormone receptor positive, HER2 negative, and I don't remember what the HER2 is, but anyway, it's HR positive, HER2 negative, metastatic breast cancer. Which I later learned, and I had told, well, Mark's niece is a surgeon and has a breast care center. She does a lot of breast surgery. And so Dr. Scott, as we call him, said, "I want you to call her tonight." And I did. And I basically put them in charge of my care. She told me, she said, "Aunt Betty, you've got a lot of good years left in you." And my big question through this was, if it's my time to go, it's okay. I'm ready. But why would God take me out now when He's just given me this coaching ministry to do, and I'm still working on my certification? Why would He, And incidentally, by that time, I had put a stop to everything. I had contacted the school. I said, "I can't do any more classes right now. Just put it on hold. I'll come back when I'm, once I've recovered sufficiently." And and I did start classes up again in August. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to, it's just been a gradual thing getting back into all of this. And but I thought, God's got something else in mind. It has to be. I'm just going to trust Him and leave it in His hands. And I'm going to trust Him to guide these doctors in what I need to do, who I need to be seeing. The oncologist that was assigned to me in the hospital works at the Mercy Oncology Clinic. He was very nice. I liked him a lot. But they wanted me to see this other doctor that was also there, one of his colleagues. It just so happened that she and Mark's niece had gone to school together, had gotten to be good friends. And that was also the choice of my PCP and the orthopedic sports medicine doctor. And so I said, "Okay, I guess that's who I'm going with." And I said, "Y'all just set things up. I'm going to concentrate on getting my leg to work again." And so that's what I did. And I was in I went to the rehab hospital June 1st. They originally had me scheduled to get out on the 14th, but they said I was doing so well that they wanted to see this had also happened on the 11th. They had come in and told me that I was doing so well that they wanted me to stay a few extra days. The 18th was the extent that my insurance would pay for. And so they wanted me to agree to stay, and I did. I said, there's just a couple of things. One thing is we were in the midst of buying another car because our second car had gone kaput. And so we're in the midst of getting that done, and I need to sign the paperwork. And so I said, I need to be able to go and take care of that. And
It's
she
just
said,
2 miles north of
yeah,
where we were.
it was just a very short distance away. But it seemed like an eternity that evening whenever I had to go up there and sign those papers. And I thought I was never going to, we were never going to get there. And anyway, it was horrible pain. And I texted a friend and I said, pray, and as soon as I did that, the pain started to ease up and I started to get a little bit more comfortable. And my nurse had my pain medicine ready for me when I got back to the rehab. And so I got relief from that. But the day after I got out of the rehab hospital, I got out on a Tuesday, and on Wednesday I was at my niece's
Premier Breast Health Institute.
Yeah, Premier Breast Health Institute. If you're in Oklahoma City and you're female,
South Portland.
It's on South Portland.
Around,
call them.
Between 74th and 89th, I believe.
Something like that. There's a big Amazon facility down there, and it's across from that, and it's kind of just sitting there by itself. It's on the west side of I-44. But anyway, beautiful place. And so I went down there for a mammogram and an ultrasound, and it took them a while to find the original tumor, which had actually shown up. That was the thing. They said it was consistent with breast tissue, but there wasn't an obvious tumor showing up. It had kind of shown up on the CT scans, but they were having difficulty finding it. Anyway, Stephanie, his niece, finally located it through a breast exam while I was on the ultrasound table, and then they were able to get pictures of it. It has shown up on the PET scans, sort of, I think.
It's real tiny.
But it's not very big, about the size of my little finger, so the end of my little finger. And anyway, I saw my oncologist that Friday, and she put me on a hormone blocker, and then she put me on, a little bit later, I had to do some tests, including an initial PET scan, which happened in July. And then she put me on something called Kisqali. And that, I've been on it. I'm on cycle 5, I think now.
3 weeks on, 1 week
Yeah,
off.
3 weeks on, 1 week off. It's not really chemo. They call it oral chemo, but if you look at their website, it says it's not chemo, it's a targeted therapy. But in the meantime, I also had been doing some research on some alternative stuff. And all the way through all of this, I just felt like God was leading me in what to do. And one of the things I had always thought that sugar feeds cancer. And I haven't been very good at leaving the sweet stuff alone. But I used to think that I was addicted to sugar, but I'm not so sure that I am anymore, because it's not the sugar. I like the taste of sweets, but it's not necessarily sugar, and because I can get along without it with using other forms of sweeteners. But I learned, I did some research like I usually do, and in the process, I discovered this scientist at Boston College. His name is Dr. Thomas Seyfried, and he's been researching cancer for a long time now, and he was, I think, 30 years or something. It's not what he started out to do, but in the process of doing research, somehow he was researching a ketogenic diet and the results on epilepsy, which has been studied before, and it has been used with good results with people who have seizures. And I don't remember exactly how he got into the cancer part of it, but he began to study it and to figure out that, yeah, cancer feeds on sugar, on glucose, more specifically. And he began to do more research, mostly working with brain tumors and some of the most aggressive type of brain tumors. And until August, there was a guy in England that I can't think of his name. Anyway, he had been, it was a glioblastoma, I think, that he had, which was a very, very aggressive brain tumor. And he had been on a ketogenic diet. He had not done anything else beyond that. He just was keeping his carbs very, very low and making sure that his ketones were, elevated enough. And Dr. Seyfried has developed something, he and his students have developed something called a GKI, Glucose Ketone Index. And it's the ratio of glucose to ketones. And if that is low enough, that ratio, preferably under 2, it's hard to do, very hard to do. But if it's under 2, then it pretty much kills the cancer. And this had been studied even as far back as the turn of the 20th century. A man by the name of Otto Warburg, a scientist in Germany, had studied it, and they call it the Warburg effect. But one thing that Dr. Seyfried learned that I don't think Warburg had discovered is that cancer can survive with glucose, but it can also feed or survive on glutamine, one of the amino acids. That makes it a little trickier. And so he's got a whole protocol that, if you're interested in that, just, Google his name, go on YouTube and do a search for Dr. Thomas Seyfried. That's Seyfried. And there's tons of videos. He's been doing a lot of podcasts. Not him specifically, but he's been interviewed on a lot of podcasts in the last couple of years talking about this. And so this is what I decided that I was going to do. And it's what I've been working on. And I believe that God led me to this and that I have been I don't know. I can't say that I've been healed yet, but I'm in the process of being healed. So, but my second PET scan, my first one was in July 7th, 8th.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Something like that. And I had another one done in October. Mm-hmm. That was the 13th. Is that right? October 13th? Somewhere in there. My oncologist, her word was impressive. Now, I had that done, and I was not expecting, and she knows what I want to do as far as all this other. She's fine with with me doing a keto diet. She's fine with, as long as I get my vitamins and what have you, and she's fine with, other stuff as long as I let her know. And as far as taking other medications, which is what started me down this road in the first place, as far as that is concerned, she's a little more cautious, but she's okay with it as long as I keep her informed and let her continue to follow me and to watch my blood counts and my, like my liver enzymes and things like that, because they have had people that have done this kind of thing before and they've had problems with their liver enzymes and stuff. And so I'm like, that's fine. I want somebody following me. I want somebody keeping track of what's going on. There was a place that I learned about down in Texas that I was going to go to, but I haven't been able to get in touch with them. And I'm not sure that I really need to, because I think I've got pretty much everything I need right here in the Oklahoma City area. And so anyway, but I got a phone call. I was on my way to physical therapy because I'm back doing physical therapy again. I've been through rehab and then home health, and now I'm back to doing outpatient rehab, back with my same physical therapist that I had before. And she and I have some good talks about what's going on, and some hugs every now and then. Like the day that I came in and I said, I just got a phone call from my oncologist nurse, and she told me that the doctor wanted her to call me and to let me know that there had been significant improvement in my scan results over the one that I had had 3 months earlier. And I was asking her some questions, it's gone, is it, what, well, she couldn't answer all of the questions. She was just going from the report. She couldn't see everything on the report, but my oncologist could see the images. I had an appointment with her the next week. We went over it. She was, that's when she said it was impressive. She showed me some of the results. Again, I could show you that. If you want to be a part of my group on Facebook, I've posted this stuff in there, where all of these places, my body was just riddled with cancer. It was just lit up like a Christmas tree. In July. In October, it's not there. It's just not there. And I just have to say, praise the Lord, Anyway, and so I continue on with the therapy. She tells me I'll be on this stuff for the rest of my life or until it quits working, whichever comes first. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure I want to stay on it. I do have some side effects, one of which is my hair keeps getting thinner. If I suddenly show up looking different, maybe because too much has fallen out. But I'm dealing with it. And so, anyway, goodness, I've been talking a long time. We just wanted to share with you tonight about what's been going on. And Mark has had a little bit of an issue too. You see his neck. And
yeah, I've had a little spot that is discolored on the bottom of my neck, right in there. And every time I go into the dermatologist, it's been there for a couple of years probably, and every time I go into the dermatologist, I point it out, and they, which one are we on? This one? Okay.
Yeah.
Every time I go in, I point it out to them. They look at it. Everything's okay. But the last one that I went to, which was in, when was it? The end of September, I think. She
Maybe
looked at
something
it,
like that.
and she said, it looks like it's changing colors. So I want to do a biopsy. I also had a basal cell spot up here that they took care of. But so she did a biopsy and called me back. A few days later, she always calls me personally, which I like. She said the basal cell, she wanted to just clean it out a little bit, and so I came in the next couple of days later. She said the one on my neck was a melanoma, and so which is cancer. She said it's only 0.4 millimeters thick, so it's real thin, just barely on the surface of the skin. But she said, I want to refer you to another doctor, a specialist, who only does the cuttings, the skin surgery. And so I went in and set an appointment, went in, and he took a look at it. He had seen the reports. They had the report back by then, and he knew how extensive it was, or how big it was. He said that with this type of melanoma that is so thin that they just cut the spot out plus add about a centimeter completely around the edge. And so he took a marker and he drew.
It was about that big.
He drew the outline of
That
the spot, and then he drew another circle with the centimeter around the edge.
Right.
And so he said, that's what we're going to do. We're going to take it and we're going to cut it out, and then make sure that everything's clean, and then we will repair it after that. So I went back in. It was a week ago, Monday, and he cut it out. Yeah, it was pretty good size.
It was.
Yeah, and so I was supposed to come back Thursday. I couldn't take a shower for 48 hours, couldn't get it wet, couldn't change the bandage. But I went back on Thursday, and he had the report back, and he said, we need to take just a little bit more out around one of the edges along the bottom. And so here we go again. And so he cut a little bit more out, bandaged it up, and back to the same, have to leave it on for 48 hours.
I couldn't be there that time.
Yeah, you were there the first time.
I was there for the first visit, but I couldn't be there for that one.
Right.
Because I was seeing the nurse practitioner for my oncologist. So,
Yeah. So I went back in on Tuesday this week, and everything was clear, and they got it all. And so he said, we can do one of two things in repairing and getting you fixed up. We can either just take a straight line and stitch it up. He said he would rather not do it that way, because you couldn't really turn your neck when you were stitching it up like that. What he said he wanted to do is take a stitch, and he made the same stitch.
The same suture?
The same suture. He secured it in about 6 or 8 spots around, and then pulled on it to close up.
So kind of like a gathering stitch.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So what was about like that now is about like this. So it's less than half the size of what it was. And I'm supposed to leave it that way for 6 weeks and then go back in. I didn't ask him if the stitches are going to dissolve by itself or if he has to take them out. But anyway, so I'm bandaged up. I have to change it daily, wash it and change it daily, and put some ointment on it, some Vaseline or some other ointment, and then keep it covered up for a while. But anyway, there's a lot of, yeah. Of course, with him bunching that up like that, I feel the pressure when I turn my head, but it's not painful at all. I can, do this and it doesn't bother me. So we'll see what happens.
All right, so that's what's happened to us over the past few months. And, we've both been hit with the big C. This is not Mark's first go around, but it is for me, and there's no history in my family. But that's one of the things that Dr. Seyfried says, that it's metabolic. It's not genetic like they think it is. But they're having difficulty getting doctors to recognize that, because they've been taught in school that it's genetic, and that's it's just, that's the consensus. That's what everybody believes. But he says if you remove glucose and glutamine from the environment that the cancer is in, it can't survive. The cancer cells can't survive. And then there's more with oxygen therapy, that just enhances it. And so I haven't done that part yet. He calls his protocol press pulse therapy. You press on it with the ketogenic diet and staying very low carb and keeping the GKI very low. And then you pulse in getting rid of the glutamine. You just have to get rid of it for like a couple of days or so, because you can't live without glutamine. It's an amino acid. It's a protein that you have to have. But you can't, but you can get along without it for, a few days. And so that's the thing. And I was going to say, this guy, Pablo, I think was his name, in the UK, he had this glioblastoma. He was not given a good prognosis, nothing like what I've been given, where, they're talking 10 to 20 years for me. Well, at my age, I could be, that's pretty good life expectancy. So anyway, Pablo was given only a few weeks to begin with, and he started on Dr. Seyfried's protocol, but he only did the keto part of it, the diet, and fasting. Dr. Seyfried promotes fasting. And Pablo went on to get married. He has 3 kids. And he lived for 10 years. It was after a while, they had said that his tumor was inoperable, but after a while it became, they got it to the point with this diet, it got to the point that they said they could operate on it. So they did, they removed it, but it continued to grow, or at least to stay there. It didn't, they didn't get it all, I guess, but I don't think they could. But they did this more than once over the period of this 10 years. And in August of this year, Dr. Seyfried said he had been talking with Pablo the day before. And the surgeons were wanting to do something. They wanted to go back in and do some more work on it, and when they did, he had a hemorrhage, and 12 hours later he was dead. It was not the cancer that killed him. It was the treatment that the doctors wanted to do. It was the surgery and the side effects of that. So there is hope for anyone who is dealing with the big C. It is not a death sentence. One of the first things that my oncologist told me was, yes, it's stage 4, which of course is the worst. It's stage 4. It means it had spread throughout my body, and it had. But it's treatable. And in my case, even with what they call standard of care, the current care that is given for those with cancer, it's still, people have good results. And the side effects aren't horribly bad like they are with your traditional chemo. And that was one of the things I said I wouldn't do chemo. I would not do chemo. But the oral stuff, like I said, it's had its side effects. I did have some radiation back in July. I made it through 7 out of 10 treatments when I saw the radiation oncologist after this last PET scan, and he was going over it. He was amazed, and he said, I recommend no more radiation at this point. Another answer to prayer. So, that's it. We are back. That's what's happened to us over the past 6 months. I thought about trying to relate all of this to ADHD, but as far as how I handled it, yeah, maybe later. I need to think about that a little bit. How did that play a role in it? But I think my ADHD kind of helps with the humor and stuff, and that's one of the things. And I don't know. I was able to just let it go and let somebody else take care of it, and initially, and so that I could focus on getting my hip to work right and my leg. And I'm still working on that. Got a ways to go. I'm still not where I want to be.
You're doing better.
But I am doing better. Lately, the last week or so, I've been having a lot of pain. That could be weather related. I don't know. We've got cold weather coming in next week. So we'll see if it improves after that, and we'll know that it was weather related. So anyway, I guess I've kept y'all long enough tonight, and so but I wanted to share that with you. Got a little special treat for you next week. We're going to get back to the subject of ADHD. And Mark's been getting tested, evaluated. What happened with that?
Have to wait.
Come back next week and find out. Thursdays, 6 o'clock Central Time. That's 7 Eastern. What's that? 5 Mountain, 4 Pacific Time.
Right.
Okay, and so like,
1
share.
o'clock Hawaii time.
Oh, hey, that's pretty good if you can if you remember that. Okay, anyway, like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment and let us know that you have watched this. So we'd love to hear from you, and also let us know. I'm still getting back into the swing of this, and I just realized I have not posted any links to anything in the description, and I need to go do that. We've got a Facebook page. I've got my Peace in the Storm group, which is the group where, if you want, I've written out this whole story.
Yeah, if you want the
and
whole
there's
story.
more details than what I have shared even tonight. There's
Peace in the Storm.
Peace in the Storm on Facebook. but I think there's more than one Peace in the Storm group or similar name. So I will put a link down below in the description, and I'll get it done either tonight or tomorrow. And I guess that's about it. I think it's time to sign off and go get something to eat.
It's time to eat.
Oh, low carb though. Definitely low carb. So, all right. Well, we will talk to you next week. Thanks for watching.
All right. Bye.
Bye.